this is Dr. Rosie Kuhn, and this podcast series is called Spiritual Immersion, Taking the Plunge. The last couple of podcasts have been kind of deep and a little bit on the unnerving side, talking about death and birth and recycle, and talking about social justice and peace begins with me. So, and we've been talking about the spiritual principles by which we talk about them and we go, yeah, I know this is true, but we're not actually, most of us aren't living in those spiritual principles. Most of the time we live in the paradigm of fear and rationalizations and justifications, and it keeps us from actually coming into that state of peace, coming into that state of bliss, into the state of oneness that we all are. I believe in that, and I ascribe to that, and I practice living into that more and more. Hence the spiritual immersion process, and hence some of these dark, not necessarily dark, but exceptionally deep places of questioning, what is this about? Especially when bad things happen, even though you're a good person and you're doing good things, or bad things happen because you did something wrong, or you did something, now you regret it, but you can't take it back, and bad things happen. Bad things in air quote. So all these dilemmas of being a human being and how to be with all of that. And rather than numbing ourselves to that, coming to an acceptance and allowance and an understanding and again, the acceptance, most of us will numb ourselves out and ignore the possibility of experiencing that level of serenity and equanimity and balance and harmony. It's interesting, the number of clients that came to me this week who their issue was finding harmony in their life. I thought that was kind of interesting. So what I want to share with you today is to talk about the idea of miracles. If you're interested, there's a whole book called A Course in Miracles. And man, it is intense. It's not simple like The Secret or simple like Law of Attraction. It's very complex, and it really supports and empowers people to unlearn and unpractice and untrain, in a sense, learn, practice, and train to let go of what doesn't work, what doesn't bring miracles about, what doesn't bring peace and serenity and balance and equanimity and bliss, and what doesn't bring about the manifestation of your heart's desire. Part of living in the spiritual principles is that miracles happen over there in that paradigm. Miracles happen there because it's a matter of factness of being in that paradigm. In the paradigm we live in, it's fear-based, limit-based, lack-based, never getting it right based, failure-based, mistake-based, not enough-based, always having to do more based. And that place, miracles don't exist. In the paradigm of the spiritual paradigm, radical remissions happen. People heal from their cancers or their diabetes, their at death, death's door, bada bing, bada boom. There's a miracle, and something shifted. So the paradigm exists, and miracles exist. And it's what's the degree to which we are willing to train ourselves to live in that paradigm and not in the paradigm of, well, it can't happen to me, or I hope it happens to me, or that happens to other people, or what do I have to do? How do I get that miracle? And all of those questions are part of a paradigm of limited, constrained perspective, as opposed to saying, hey, miracles are your birthright. Miracles are my birthright. And if they're not showing up, it's because our thinking, my thinking, your thinking, their thinking, is holding some energy or perspective or interpretation or belief or judgment that says this isn't possible. And it is possible. There's a book by Tracy Goss, Goss. It's called The Last Word on Power. She wrote it many years ago, maybe 25 years ago or maybe more. And she's basically, and it's a book of reinvention for reinvention. So it's for executives and it's executive coaching. And yet it is so powerful for every single human being. It's just was one of the most, and still is one of the most powerful books for me in my coach training and my relationship with myself. And one of the questions that she asks is, what needs to shift to go make something impossible possible? What is it that needs to shift to make something impossible possible? And that makes most people's heads go a little wacky. It used to make mine go wacky, but I understand it now. I totally get it. That the context of our reality, our paradigm, says this is impossible. And the truth is there is no impossibility. There's 100% potentiality in our universe. Period. There's so much scientific research that says all of this, and even Einstein's theory of relativity, all of it points to the same thing, the ability for miracles to occur spontaneously. But our orientation in the world, our paradigm, limits our perspective to see that, even though our scientists and even the most famous scientists have been saying it for a long time. Einstein was around over 100 years ago. This was stated science at that point, and we're still going, oh no, it's not possible. Aren't we silly? Aren't we silly? And I'm included in that we, because it's a training that I continue to put myself through to see over and over where I limit my possibility, my potentiality, when there is none in the spiritual principles. And every single one of us is empowered to choose which paradigm you're going to choose. And that's the intention of this series of podcasts, is to say, hey, I'm supporting and empowering you to make the impossible possible in your life. And that includes peace on earth. That means just every single aspect of potentiality. Everything that we can wish for is a potential. And I can hear you already beginning to look for arguments for that, as opposed to going, yeah, no, I totally get it. And I totally see how I constrain my imagination to only want what I think I can have, versus being able to say, here's what I really want for myself, for my family, for my community, for the planet. Here's what I really want. And that's a really big piece of the work I'm discovering in my coaching practice. Is one of the most challenging elements of having miracles happen is to actually know what we want enough to let the miracle happen. I see this over and over again when I start any new coaching relationship with a client. I start out with what it is you want. What is it you want? And people have a really hard time saying, here's what I want. And even people I've been working with for years, they'll come to a session and go, man, this is happening, and this is happening, and this is happening, and this is happening. I can't get traction on this project. My children are crying, and, there's a lot of things I have to take care of. And so they're reporting all this, and I go, what is it you want? Because until you know what you want, we can't see what you're creating that makes that impossible to have. This is really inspiring work for me. I love this work because in essence, I'm a fairy godmother. And, if you've worked with me as a client, you'll hear me say, I am your fairy godmother, and I'm here to empower you to have exactly what you want in your life. And I have a little magic wand and all of that kind of stuff. But my job is to empower you to see how you make the impossible not possible, how you make the impossible impossible when I know that it's possible. Now, there are certain, let me just say, period on that. I know there's this reality that where we create impossibilities, in a sense, like that's impossible. It's like, okay, you said it, that's what you're a stand for, that's impossible. Okay. I know that we can create the impossible. We can make the possible impossible. What was I going to say? I got off track here. So I'm going to put a hard stop on that. There are people who have come in here with certain karmic lessons to learn. They've come here with gifts to provide and share, given certain physical abilities, physical challenges, physical differences, or emotional or mental challenges and differences. We've all been brought here to have karmic work things out work out our lessons, our life lessons, or to bring gifts to the world in certain ways. And some of that may not be something we can change, but even the miracle to accept what we cannot change is huge in terms of bringing peace and serenity and acceptance to the world, to our own life and to the world. And so that's part of this too. We don't understand, and we don't know how to deal with some of these principles, but the principles still are there and have been for eons. So how we choose to be with these principles, that's our personal choice. And we always have free will to go, no, not going there. Okay, that's fine. I totally respect and honor your choices. And that's a good thing. And I mean, that's a good thing in a sense, like, you know what you know what you want, you know what's true for you right now. And that I totally honor that. I totally honor and respect you for honoring yourself at that place where you're at. That's a good thing. All right, I think that's it for today. So bottom line, miracles, they're our birthright. They are always and everywhere when we are ready to play in that paradigm where they are. The law of attraction is all about that, and the secret is all about that. But it goes so deep in terms of how you perceive and how you're willing to let go of perceptions and everything we've been trained to think is true. Lots of practice, lots of training in this spiritual immersion process. All right, big hugs to you. Bye for now.